Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're diving into one of the wildest corporate roller coasters in modern history, the story of BlackBerry. Picture it. Just a little over a decade ago, if you asked a top government minister or a Fortune 500 CEO what device they were holding, there was exactly one answer: the BlackBerry. It wasn't just a phone, it was the ultimate status symbol. You'd see it practically glued to the hands of world leaders and executives alike. But today, that iconic device has completely vanished from our pockets. So how exactly do you go from absolute global dominance to virtually disappearing from the consumer market? Let's get into it. This is the ultimate business mystery we are unpacking today. How did such a powerful company collapse? Think about it. How does a brand is so universally trusted, a brand that literally defined an entire generation of corporate culture, experience such a catastrophic fall? Well, it's a crazy story of innovation, massive blind spots, and ultimately survival. Section 1, the golden era of BlackBerry. To truly understand their collapse, we really have to start by looking at their incredible rise. The whole thing kicked off back in 1984 in Canada. Now, the company wasn't actually called BlackBerry at first. It was founded as Research in Motion, or RIM. Early on, they were strictly focused on wireless data communication. But their real breakthrough, the moment that completely changed history, happened in 1999. Back then, the mobile internet was practically non-existent for the average person, but RIM launched their first email device. Suddenly, you weren't chained to your office desk to check your messages. You could step out, instantly receive an email, and reply right there on the go. In the late 90s, that wasn't just a cool feature, it was an absolute revolution for the business world. So why did the world's most powerful people refuse to let go of these things? First and foremost, ironclad security and reliability. Major government departments, massive global banks, and big corporations trusted BlackBerry completely because their network was locked down and encrypted. And, of course, we absolutely have to talk about that brilliant physical QWD keyboard. If you were typing out long, complex emails in the back of a taxi, that tactile, clicky keyboard made it a breeze. It was simply the perfect tool, built exactly for the people who needed it most. Section 2, the smartphone revolution. In the tech world, standing still basically means you're already falling behind. And in 2007, the entire landscape shifted right under BlackBerry's feet. Apple launched the very first iPhone, and it sent absolute shockwaves through the industry. Instead of physical keyboards, the iPhone brought these massive touchscreens. It brought a highly intuitive, easy-to-use interface, and shortly after that, it brought the App Store to the masses. A lot of folks in the traditional tech industry looked at this and thought, it's just a passing fad. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. It was the dawn of an entirely new era. The market split almost overnight. On one side, you had BlackBerry staying rigidly focused on their bread and butter, physical keyboards, corporate emails, and high-level security. But on the flip side, their new rivals, the iPhone and emerging Android devices, were focused entirely on everyday consumers. They were offering large touchscreens, music, videos, social media, games, and thousands of different apps. Consumers suddenly realized they wanted a device for their entire life, not just their 9-to-5 job. People wanted more, and BlackBerry just wasn't giving it to them. Section 3, the mistakes BlackBerry made. So you've got to wonder, how did the leadership of such a massive company misread the room so badly? Well, they developed some fatal blind spots. Leadership simply didn't take this massive consumer shift seriously enough. They completely dismissed the touchscreen revolution. They viewed it as a temporary trend that serious professionals wouldn't care about. They stubbornly believed that users would always prioritize a physical keyboard over a large screen. And honestly, perhaps their biggest miscalculation of all? While they were staring down Apple, they completely ignored the rising threat of Android. Android manufacturers were flooding the market, offering a huge variety of touchscreen phones at multiple different price points. Suddenly, consumers had endless choices, and BlackBerry's market share just began to plummet. Section 4, attempts at a comeback. Eventually, reality set in. Realizing their market share was rapidly slipping away, BlackBerry desperately scrambled to catch up. In 2011, they tried to rival the iPad by launching the Playbook tablet, but they rushed it so badly that it famously launched without a built-in email client. For an email company, that was a huge blow to their reputation. Then, they released a modernized operating system called BlackBerry 10, but the market had already moved on. This led to a massive problem with developers. Coders were already fiercely loyal to iOS and Android, so they just ignored BlackBerry's shrinking platform. That meant even the BlackBerry finally had decent hardware, they had no apps. And in the modern smartphone world, a phone without apps is basically just a very expensive paperweight. Ultimately, sales absolutely crashed year over year, stock prices tumbled, and the former king of smartphones was forced into massive layoffs. Section 5, today's BlackBerry and business lessons. But hey, This story actually doesn't end with a bankruptcy filing. It ends with an incredible plot twist. Fighting for their very existence, BlackBerry's leadership made a brave and absolutely vital decision. They slowly stepped entirely away from manufacturing physical phones. They looked at what they were originally best at, which was security, and they completely reinvented themselves. Today, BlackBerry is a highly successful cybersecurity and enterprise software company. In fact, their security software is widely used in the automotive industry right now. They literally went from being the phone in your pocket to being the invisible shield protecting modern cars and corporate data. Pretty wild, right? The rise, fall, and reinvention of BlackBerry leaves us with a stark lesson. Those who do not embrace change cannot survive in the market. The ultimate takeaway here, whether you're an entrepreneur or just watching the tech world, is that today's success absolutely does not guarantee tomorrow's survival. You can never dismiss new technology. You just cannot afford to ignore changing consumer needs simply because your old methods made you billions in the past. It's really easy to look back at BlackBerry and wonder how they couldn't see the touchscreen revolution coming. But history always repeats itself. So as you look around at today's untouchable trillion-dollar tech giants, which ones do you think are currently ignoring the next big shift? Thank you for exploring this with me today, and keep questioning the technology around you.